Hey everyone, this is Marky Mark at www.benzolifecoach.com. I hope you are doing well today. Today we are going to be talking about anxiety, but even better, we're going to be talking about the what ifs, right? You ever get into that what if this happens or what if that happens? I mean, when we're feeling anxious, we like to think the worst possible outcome is right around the corner, don't we? In fact, we like to think that at any possible moment, the world could come crashing down on us. As anxious people, this is a common thing to have, okay? That feeling of dread, the fact that you feel like you can't get any rest. You ever have that internal shaking, breathing heavy, right? That hot, cold flushes? This is all normal symptoms of anxiety. But a lot of times, the symptoms we really don't talk about are the symptoms that matter. And I don't know why that happens, but this symptom gets swept under the rug all the time. And it's called intrusive thoughts. Have you ever had intrusive thoughts? Thoughts that just keep on coming. They keep on trying to knock down your walls, right? Until you say, all right, I've had enough. Take me away. Bring me to the loony bin. I mean, we've all been there. I want to let you know, though, before we start talking about intrusive thoughts, that your thoughts aren't who you are. It's just a byproduct of what's going on in your life, okay? Your thoughts don't determine who you are as a person. I would like to think I'm a pretty good person, but sometimes I have some really bad thoughts, okay? I'll give you an example, all right? Hopefully this doesn't make you want to turn off the channel here, but listen up. I was driving. All right, I had this old lady right in front of me, okay? I'm not one to have road rage, but let me tell you something. This was a 45-mile-an-hour zone. This lady was going 20 miles an hour, and I was late. I was frustrated, stressed out, you name it. My day was very hectic. And believe it or not, a thought popped in my head. I should just ram this little old lady off the road and get on my way to where I need to go. Now, not in a million years would I ever act upon that thought, right? I would never do that. That's not who I am. That's not my personality, my ethics, my morals, my beliefs. Nothing. I would never do that. But for some reason, that thought popped into my head. And sometimes these thoughts that pop into our head just jolts us, right? Like the idea that we're actually thinking these things are kind of scary. Like, why am I thinking things like this? This is not what I should do. But I want to let you know. I want to give you a little bit of contentment right now. People have thoughts like this all the time. These thoughts do happen. They do occur. Just don't attach any real significance to them because they're just a byproduct of an over-anxious mind. Now let's go ahead. Let's hop into intrusive thoughts real quick. I'm going to give you an example of what an intrusive thought is. It's almost like a home invasion, right? I want you to picture somebody sitting on the couch in their pajamas, right? Watching their favorite show, Charlie's Angels, have a thing of popcorn in their hand. And they're nice, they're peaceful, they're relaxed. And then somebody wants to break into their house, okay, steal their TV, tie them up, and toss them in the closet. So they kick down the door, and that's exactly what happens. Now listen, that is what an intrusive thought is like. Your mind, most of the time, should be a peaceful place. You should be relaxed. You should be content. You should be okay with what's going on. Then the intrusive thought comes along. It kicks down that door. You're like in shock, like, oh, what's going on? And then it starts to ravage your mind. It starts to steal your thoughts. It starts to steal your peace, right? Grabbing that TV and it's running out the door, right? But that's what's going on. That's really what an intrusive thought is. And it's like, how do we stop the intrusive thought from kicking down the door? How do we do that, right? And we're going to get into that right here and now. What you focus on is what you gravitate towards, right? What you pay attention to really does matter. If you're going to pay attention to and give power to these intrusive thoughts, guess what? They're going to stick around. The reason is because your brain is like a supercomputer. What you focus on is what your brain thinks matters. So if you're focusing on these intrusive thoughts, your brain is going to think that it matters, and it's going to keep on bringing these intrusive thoughts back over and over and over again, and then that's when it becomes a real mental health crisis. You're compulsively thinking of thoughts that give you a shock, and then you tie a sense of feeling and emotion to these thoughts, and then these thoughts keep coming back. And it starts to go around and around and around, and it does not stop. Now, before I said what you pay attention to matters, because your brain knows that what you pay attention to matters to you. If you stop paying attention to these thoughts, guess what happens? The thoughts stop coming. Now, don't get me wrong. You're going to have to acknowledge the thought. The thought's going to come into your head. You're going to say, oh, that thought again. Really don't want to think about that. It's not that important. And then you're going to toss it out. You could acknowledge it, but you don't have to pay attention to it. Stop paying attention to these thoughts. And once you do that, you're going to see that these thoughts are eventually going to go away. Every time you leave food out for a stray cat, the cat's going to come eat the food. That's the truth. But if you stop leaving the food out for the stray cat's going to stop coming. You focusing on these intrusive thoughts is you leaving the food out. And the stray cat, which is the intrusive thoughts, are going to keep on coming because you're leaving the food out. You're paying attention. But if you stop leaving the food out, stop paying attention to the thoughts that you have, right? Guess what? The intrusive thoughts stop coming. The cat stops coming. Now let's get into these what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? A lot of times when I had anxiety and panic, I was like, when my heart would start beating out of its chest, I'd always say, what if I'm having a heart attack? Right? We always want to think of the worst possible thing that could happen. And then we what if it to death. What if I'm having a heart attack? Okay? Every time you have these what if thoughts, when these what if thoughts come into your head, I want you to start challenging these what if thoughts. Instead of saying, what if I'm having a heart attack? I want you to do something like this. What if I'm just experiencing symptoms of anxiety and I'm not having a heart attack at all? What if my heart's beating out of my chest because I'm excited and I'm not necessarily scared? See, you're going to change your belief system. What if doesn't necessarily always have to be negative, does it? We could change that what if to positive, right? So what if you're not experiencing what you think you're experiencing? What if you're experiencing something that can't hurt you? What if you're experiencing something that is better than you are imagining? And we know, as anxiety has shown us over and over and over again, that is a strong possibility, right? We like to think the worst, but really the worst never happens. We like to come up with 20 different scenarios of what if, but the what ifs never come true. See, we suffer more in our mind, in our imagination, than we do in our actual life. So stop living in your mind and get outside into the real world, And we do that by practicing mindfulness, which I'm sure you know all about, right? If you've been following me this long. And if not, go to www.benzolifecoach.com and get some knowledge behind you, okay? Listen, I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I really do, because anytime anyone comes to work on themselves, it's an amazing thing. So pat yourself on the back. Way to go. I thank you for tuning in tonight, and I really do urge you guys to go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, sign up and subscribe to the blog, and check out our $10 monthly mentor service that we provide. I really wish to see you there. And thank you guys once again. Tune in for our next segment. We're going to be going in depth on what mindfulness is and how to practice it